Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Fueled Life podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that everybody deals with, and they try to separate their mind, their body, their muscles from their bones and their physical and emotional experience, and they try to separate them and put them in little categories. But that's not how the body works, and that's not how life works. If we have an issue somewhere, we're going to have an issue everywhere. And it just doesn't happen if we move to a new city that everything gets better. Well, it's the same thing in our body. So that's what we are going to demystify, debunk, and really dive into today. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're in that category this morning, maybe you're getting that little bit of the holiday blue kind of thing going on. Well, join us and we're going to just uncover this. Welcome, Charlie. And how are you today, my friend?
Doing well. Having a little, issue getting activating the old podcast here, but you know what? It doesn't drain me. It is what it is. Do the best we can and turn on the on switch as soon as everything lines up, just like the body.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I think it is kind of the universe speaking to us. Whenever we attempt to endeavor to something new or to bring information forward, there's always going to be an obstacle. Well, that obstacle actually becomes an opportunity to just be real.
Yeah. So the whole premise of this is why are we talking about mental cognition, mindset, to exercise, to well-being? It's like, wait a minute. It's like, I remember hearing you can't out-exercise your fork. So it's similar. It's like I could work out 4 hours a day, but eat garbage and eat poorly and eat late at night. And my body, it just won't synergize. It won't make sense to the body, and it won't know what to do except get sicker. And definitely, I remember thinking, Stanley, like, gosh, it's like Sunday afternoon and I'm exhausted. And I really didn't do too much. And I don't get it. And, I didn't understand that emotion is energy in motion in the body. And because it was Sunday, I was thinking about Monday, not looking forward to it because I didn't love what I was doing or whatever it might be. I was bringing Saturdays and the past into you know what I mean? So I was tired and I wasn't doing much physically and I couldn't understand what is wrong with me.
You're absolutely right, Charlie. And today, as we're talking about, it is about your mind. What's going on in your mind creates what your physical experience is. And I had a client a couple of years ago, and I was in his office one day, and we were talking, and this gentleman is a lawyer, and I asked him, we got into a really transparent conversation, and he said, "I hate Mondays." And I go, "Okay, why do you hate Mondays?" And he said, "Because there's so much, and that's like one of the busy days." And I said, "So when does that hate really start to permeate and settle into your body?" And he said, "Sundays." He said, "So I only really have one day to enjoy." And I asked him, I said, "What is that costing you?" He said, "Well, it's just costing me a wasted day because my energy is focusing on Monday." And I said, "No. Okay, so how much do you make in a day?" And he said, "Let's say $1,000 a day." I said, "So if you lose one day a week, you're losing $52,000. He said, "I never thought about it that way." So every Sunday he lost, and he was focusing on this mental stress, which was creating a physical stress and anxiety or anxiousness. And he was also being distracted from the time with his family, with this young child. So all of these things compounded, and we never really bring this equation together, but we have to, because we can't separate Sunday from the rest of the week. And it's just like we can't separate, you can't outwork your fork. Well, like you said, if you eat poorly with that fork that you're putting in, and you're just, you don't think you're exercising a whole lot. Well, you're exercising more by shoveling in garbage and putting bad fuel into your body, and then you're not getting the result that you want.
Yeah, the fueled life is not that easy button at Staples, and it doesn't mean it's hard, and it is simple, but our mind is what pulls us off course. We all know it's a good idea to exercise. We all know it's a good idea to, as we talked about last week, to get up from our chairs and move around, stretch, move the body. It's good to be conscious and do some walking and talking, and like noticing my feet moving, getting present, enjoying the outside, breathing in some nature. And when you start connecting the dots, we call it no, we don't call it. It's called metacognition. Thinking, knowing what we think, thinking what we think. And it's like, oh, I'm starting to see how I activate those waves of self-pity and depression. Oh, I see how I start talking myself out of that afternoon walk I said I was going to do. Oh, I see how. And when we don't see that, and we retreat from doing the next right thing for our body, mind, and spirit, it releases chemicals in our body. It creates emotion, energy in our body, emotion. It's burning calories. It's maybe causing a little depression, a little self-pity. It's causing some anxiety, stress. And when those are starting to get activated, even more calories and more chemicals are getting released in the body that are starting to just tighten us up. And gosh, and then what do? Then I go to look for Oreos or ice cream or potato chips or pasta or something, because I just don't know what to do anymore. Well, that's what this podcast is about. Wake up. And and we definitely don't mean it like, ding dong or you're not smart. It's just the conditioning of the mind.
Right. And the thing of it is that stress, over a short period of time is actually good for our bodies. So you go work out, that stress on your body, it actually tears muscles to rebuild. But let's say you continue to work out throughout the entire day, you don't take a break, and then you wake up and the first thing you do is you just hit the same weights over and over and over. Well, now you're going to break down the very thing that you're trying to build up. And what happens is that we're designed to have this protective nature, this reactive system if we're in danger. But if we're in that danger mode all the time, that cortisol now over a long period of time breaks down our immune system. It breaks down our cognitive ability. I talk to people all the time that talk about this brain fog. And I began to ask them, tell me a little bit about your day. And as they start to share what's happening and the multitude of directions that their mind is going, I'm going, my gosh, that is like on warp speed. Let's just back off. Let's dissect this just a little bit. And, you're only seeing the iceberg story. You only see 10% of what is underneath. And it's what's underneath is what's creating the experience that we're having on the surface. And it is learning to see it for what it really is, what's underneath, and peel that back and let that melt a little bit and create a life that you really desire, not the life that you don't desire.
It's like, you have a newer car, 2023, 2024. The thing is pristine. Everything's great. But you just decide to drop down each tire down to, or let's say it just happens. Each tire goes down to, they're supposed to have 30 pounds. Now they have 12 in each. And you're driving it around. You're pressing the gas a little more. You're burning more energy. Gas mileage is not that good. It's not cornering that well. It's squirt. makes little noises, and you're like, it should be better. It shouldn't be this way.
Right.
and it's like, well, did I look at the system? Did I look at the mind, the body, the spirit? Is it connected? Is it flowing? If you went out and noticed, geez, the reason I got to press the gas pedal more and it's harder to brake and it doesn't corner well. And I just, it shouldn't be this way. That's a big clue. When we think it shouldn't be this way, it should be different, because no, it should be exactly the way it is until we wake up to taking a look at what is creating that suffering, that energy hog of my day. What is creating it? I'm not digging holes all day, but I'm doing a job, or I'm worrying about something, or I'm bringing in tension from the past. I mean, Stanley, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. All that is scientifically proven, right? 90% of them are brought in from the past.
Right.
So if we're noodling on 90%, so say we have 60,000, that means 54,000 thoughts are from the past. So it's, what should I wear? I don't know what to wear today. Oh God, do we have enough coffee? Geez, we don't have the creamer. I don't use that, but oh my God, the hot water's low. We don't have that much soap in the, and it's like, well, no wonder why you're exhausted. We're bringing in, instead, imagine starting fresh each day.
Yeah.
And, talk about revitalizing, re-energizing the body, instead of carrying that hefty bag full of what into each day. It is possible. I haven't gotten perfect at it, but let me tell you, I'm not exhausted in the afternoon.
Yeah, and all of these are little indicators, like on our dash. If you put a sticky note over the warning symbol or over that warning light, the car's going to break down. If it says service engine soon, and you put a Post-it note over it so you can't see it, you mask it. That's what a lot of times people do with their bodies. And as I work with people and you as well, as we work with people in these areas, and we start to dissect the things that seem inconsequential, that seem like they should be separate in another area, and you start asking them, what are the first things that you're saying to yourself in the morning? And most people don't even realize what they're saying to themselves in the morning. They wake up and they're already thinking about the bill that's due, or, oh my gosh, I don't have this, and we need this, and this is coming up, and I got a deadline. And these are the first thoughts of the day, and it recalibrates the potential of the day. And that's what this is about. And when we learn that it's the body's language, you start feeling like the stress levels are rising. Your body's talking to you in the only way that it can tell you. And it's saying, slow down, take a deep breath. And we've talked about this on previous podcasts about breathing, about meditation. And, when I ask people, what are you experiencing? And they'll tell me they got a knot in the middle of their back, or they got a tension in their neck. And, they got an inflammation in their knee. And I'm asking them, so tell me about the stress levels. Well, what does that have to do with what my body's doing? I said, it has everything, because inflammation is caused by stress. And as we break that down, if you don't address that, it creates a greater problem, a knee surgery or a hip surgery or shoulder replacement. And then, there's many times that those surgeries don't address the situation. They just address the symptom. We're not about symptoms. We want to get to the cause. And that's what this is about.
Yeah. So I started saying, okay, I'm done beating on myself.
Right.
I'm done saying I'm going to do 402 things a day and only get 400 done. The 2 I didn't, I'm a loser. I'm done with that. I realized that even though I went to bed and I got many things done, the few things I missed, I focused on. And it caused, so I slept uneasy. I didn't have much REM. I mean, they didn't even know what that meant. REM, it's a band. And so I don't know any of this. And So I realized going to bed with cleanness and in the mind will allow me to sleep clean, which will revitalize my cells, all my organs, and allow me to start the day. But when I start the day, my human condition kicks in. So what can I do about that? Well, I can ground. I can center myself. I can pray. I can meditate. I can breathe. I can kind of come in and think about the day ahead. Think about the day ahead and what is possible today. How can I be of service? What calls do I have? Do I have any meetings? And I don't need to do. If I have 3 or 5 things on my calendar, that's amazing, because those 3 or 5 will get all of me. When I had 55 things,
Right.
they got the rushing me and the irritated me and the hurry up me and I'm looking for something to satisfy me. And I was a Ferrari in first gear at red line,
Right.
running out of fuel really fast with low tire pressure.
Right. Right. So, my question is that as we get into this even a little bit further, are you suffering? I'm asking the audience right now, are you suffering with headaches? Do you have like a knee pain inside or outside of the knee? Do you have an ankle issue? Do you have anything going on like numbness in your hands? You have a tension in your neck? Are you finding yourself, if you were to concentrate, are you finding yourself doing shallow breathing? And like you said, Charlie, most people don't breathe. They're just taking in enough air just to expand enough to just get the basic necessity to survive. And that's not what a fueled life is all about. It's having the ability to thrive and taking off the 55 things off your checklist and just having the 5 main things. What can I do when this happens? So let me ask you, Charlie, when you find yourself, and we all do, in that moment of, hey, there's a heightened awareness and you feel like things are caving in, what are some go-tos that you naturally do?
Well, I go to, fear, or I flight, like I would have a freeze. I mean, if I activate my nervous system. So if I went out back with the dog and something rustled and I went, I didn't think about it. I just froze, like, what's gonna, and so what you asked the question, like, what happens when I tend to go towards something to make me feel better?
Right. Any particular practice that you implement?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be food, it could be laying down, it could be watching something on YouTube that has nothing to do with anything that I'm seeking outside of me. I'm not taking a look in the mirror. So I'm looking outside of me to solve the problem that I created.
Okay. And so what do you do to counter that?
What do I do to counter that? I say, what is it in me that has caused this emotion? It's always an emotion, this feeling, I feel stuck. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't feel like I can move forward. Everything is so difficult. If that starts cropping up, I say, okay, what am I doing? What's going on? What lie am I telling myself?
Right.
And why? And then, Stanley, but here we go. I used to beat myself up. You shouldn't, better, blah, blah, blah. I go, it is what it is. I'm in it right now. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes and then I'm going to move a muscle, change a thought. And if I got to place a call and talk it out with you and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. I'm doing this. Can you help me see what I can't see? That's where coaching is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So my take on what you just shared was you're asking better questions.
Yeah.
Rather than accepting a experience as an answer, you're saying, wait a minute, why is this happening? And why is this happening for me? So why do I want to go lay on the couch? Or why do I want to just clear the desk off? Okay. Okay, I'm confessing from years ago. Whenever I get frustrated, I'd clear my desk off, and then I have to pick all that crap back up. That's several years ago. Okay, so this happens though. This is a real thing, and when we're real and when we're transparent, then we get open, and when we're open, we can go. You know what? Why did this happen? And so one of my go-tos is when I start getting frustrated, I move. I get on my treadmill, which is under my desk, which is amazing, or I go for a walk. And the first thing, and I share this every single time, and I'll probably share it for a long, long time, is the first thing that I do in the morning is that I want to snap myself out. I want to do something that's difficult. Turn that hot water all the way over to cold for 5 minutes. I'm telling you what, as the winter comes on, 3 minutes seems like an hour. And the last 2 minutes, as I'm watching that timer go down, I'm like, what the heck? Did the timer stop? Did I not change the battery? It's just going slower. But that's what I do. And it snaps me out of any possibility. And after 5 minutes, it's like, okay, now let's take on the day. And that's how I start my day.
And good for you.
Good for me.
And that is not necessary for everybody. Cold plunging, cold showers is a way to really shock the system, and it realigns and starts pumping, and it's scientifically proven to be absolutely beautiful. And turning it a little to the hot, and then leaning over and thinking about what you're grateful for might be the way that works for you. That's the thing. And it's really, all of this is like when I go for a walk in the afternoon, 2 miles with the new dog, and I listen to a book, and I have open ears. So I hear everything around me, cars, people, kids playing, buses, whatever it might be. Cause I want to hear birds. I want to stay connected. So it's bone conduction. So the sound is going into me, into my hearing somehow through my bones. And I am I'm training the dog. I'm connected. I'm serving him. I want to help him become better walker and not be so prey driven. Like, give me this. I got to get that, because that's taxing on him. He's exhausted. So, but like, boy, isn't this, look at this. I get to step, and boy, the edges on this sidewalk are amazing. And I love how this house has these decorations, and, and I get home and I'm even more energized because the body is releasing good chemicals. So I'm not like, I remember, Stanley, when I first started CrossFit, and I would be like, I don't see how I'd be able to go through the day after the intense workout, after the cold plunge in the morning. I need to sit in a sauna all day long. There's no way I could ever do anything after. That's torture. And that's how I thought with working out. And I realized the days I was doing it were the days I thrived even better, because my mind was aligned with the energy in my body, my muscles, my blood flow, my spirituality. Those days, nothing was stopping me. I could go all day long, and at 9:30 at night still be doing and going. And then when it came time for bed, I would fall asleep in 6-7 minutes and sleep great.
Right. And as we come into the winter season, this is a time when, flu season, I call it a vitamin D3 deficiency season, is what it is. A natural environment deficiency. That's what it really is. Because when you're locked up in an enclosed environment and the room air does not move, the doors are closed quickly, and you've got this stale, stagnant air in your home. Now you have just the ingredients for a despondent body. And now, as it gets darker earlier, it seems like midnight at 6 o'clock. It's like, man, I should be in bed. Wait a minute, I haven't even eaten dinner yet. And this is what happens as our body starts to acclimate to our environment, and our environment has changed and it's not productive in a way that is producing energy, we have to take and counter that and supplement that energy. And one of the ways that I do this is when I start getting in that mode, I go for a walk. It doesn't matter what temperature it is, I go for a walk. And if I'm not on my treadmill, in between training or whatnot, like yesterday, I did 3 miles watching a webinar. Didn't take any extra time. It was an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes of the webinar. I got 3 miles in. So I'm walking at 2.7 miles an hour, and that's a pretty quick pace, but that's how I walk. Now, I had to go outside in my t-shirt, and it was 24 degrees out to cool my body down. I had my door open, I had the fan on high, but I'm moving and I'm changing the chemistry in my body. And this correlates with how we feel emotionally and how we interact with other people on a communication level.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Stanley, didn't you know you should never go outside without your jacket? You could catch a cold.
I know. Yeah.
I cannot believe my mother, that is, it's like you can't swim for 30 minutes after you eat. That's a lie.
Yeah.
And
right.
you can go outside and naked in the winter. You ain't going to catch a cold. It has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
It's so irritating that people believe that. No, it isn't. There, but for the grace of God, go I. It's like, no, that's not true. You can't catch a cold because your body gets cold. Your body will go into just like a cold plunge. It'll do things to help restore and keep you warmer and pump blood and get to your extra. The body's so freaking brilliant that it'll work with you. But that isn't what gets you sick. What gets you sick is what we're talking about when we're not aligned. When we're eating poorly, we're not sleeping well, we're not metacognition, as in we don't know what we're thinking, we're not exercising, or we are exercising heavily, but it's just not clicking. Like, I'm not at peace. I'm not feeling content. I got to do something else. What's missing? I don't think what's missing, And when you create inflammation in your body through eating, through stress, through anxiety, through bringing the 90% in from yesterday, of course you're going to get sick. And all it's going to take is you going into the grocery store and somebody sneezed across there, and then you picked it up. I mean, you don't get sick because of being outside. Outside can't get you sick unless you are surrounded by a bunch of sick people that are coughing on you, maybe. But I think the healthiest place you could be is outside.
Exactly. Nature has so much to offer us. And, it's when we separate ourselves from the source of good energy is when we start to have this stress level, and the cortisol breaks down our immune system. And, here's the thing, consistency is key. So, you can't just do it once a month. You can't just do it once a week. It's some small element, even hourly, the fact of the matter is that sitting in a chair increases the pressure on your spine by 40%. That's incredible when you think about it. And when you're closing your spine down, you're closing every other form of circulation in your body, your lung capacity, your blood flow capacity, and that blood flow getting to your brain. All of that matters. And so it's being consistent and saying, okay, you know what? Every hour I'm going to get up and I'm going to move just five minutes, even 1 minute. Get up and move 1 minute every hour. And if you do that throughout the day, you can get easily 12 minutes of movement in throughout the day. Now, I mean, really movement, not just moving from the couch to the pantry to grab the bag of chips and go back and sit on the couch. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, getting up and moving and getting some blood flow, breathing deeper, expanding your lungs. And the key is consistency.
Yeah. And then you will in my life, Stanley, when we do this, it's only experiential.
Right.
That's all I have. It's
Right.
it's only something I've done. I mean, that I've done, that I've experienced. I know what it's like to suffer. I know what it's like to blame and complain and think it should be different. I should be stronger. This isn't fair. And then I know too, to get honest with myself, is that true? Well, no, it is the way it is because of the way I've been living and thinking and the lack of exercise. I smoked cigarettes for years. I mean, I used to play racquetball and I was good at it, but as soon as we left, we would light up. I find that funny now.
It is. Yeah. That's like, yeah. Okay.
So anyway, what we're talking about is basically for those of you who drive, because I forget, not everybody drives, but almost everybody does. Get in your car and drive and put your left foot on the brake a little bit and then go. And keep the pressure on the brake a little and press the gas and car. That's what we're doing when we're not aligning them. And that is spirit, our spirituality. That is our physical, moving a muscle, which helps change the thought, which helps increase blood flow, oxygen throughout the body, which then triggers happier thoughts, better well-being. And when you click those three together, it's amazing. But if you want to know what it's like to only do one area or none and wonder why life's really getting heavy, drive your car, apply some brake. It's time to release the brakes. Right. Release the brakes of your mind, release the brakes of excuses, doubt. I'm getting older. I'm now almost 60. I can't do it. I mean, get rid of that SH and do something in the morning. Take some deep breaths. Ground yourself. Think about what you're grateful for. Go on a walk around the house. Just start and trust in the process, and it will get better.
Yeah. One of the questions, and I know both you and I have gotten this question, is like, how soon am I going to notice results? How soon is this going to take place? I mean, we live in this silver bullet microwave mentality. We've been indoctrinated that there's a pill that fixes everything, and there's not a pill that fixes everything. There's health that fixes everything. And it's, if you take a lifetime of experiences and you say, okay, today I want to make a new change. Today I want everything to be reversed. It's not going to happen in just one day, but every one day that you add to this, like I said, consistency is everything. It may take, you may have results immediately, the very moment you're going to start feeling it. And before we end our podcast, I want to share one of a success story from one of my clients before we end. But this is the key. It is when you think better, you have better. And when you have better, you're able to do more. You're able to be the person that you were designed to be, not the person that has collected all of this baggage along the way. And you're going to notice better sleep. You're going to notice better communication with yourself. And when you have better communication with yourself, guess what? You have better communication with other people and those around you.
Yeah, that's excellent. And that's a great place to sit this as think better, do better, be better.
Yeah.
Feel better, serve better. And when off track, accept it. You're not, and then recognize it and get back to think better. And because I know everybody on here, anyone, do you think your thinking has anything to do with your destiny? If that's a yes, guess who's in charge? And that's the beauty of it. We get to take back. You don't need a doctorate. You don't need college degrees. You don't need high school. You don't need anything. You already have it. It's your thought process. And Stanley, that's why I do this over and over and over. I mean, last week on the Blindsided podcast, you said it earlier, and this is critical. Asking the right questions
Right.
is your way out.
Yep.
Is it my car? Is it the fact, or is it that my tire pressure is low, or do I have my foot on the brake as I'm pressing the gas pedal?
Right.
And then you realize it's the brakes of the mind. It's the thought process. And it's just like, oh, we have information that leads to a revelation, moves us to transformation. So realize that you'll have ahas, many spiritual experiences. That was me. And I'm like, I can do something about this. I'm not a victim.
Exactly. So I'd like to, with permission, I want to share this. I'm going to only mention her first name. Her first name is Becky, and she sent this to me, and she said, I remember waking up one morning and barely being able to pull myself out of bed. My body ached, my head was pounding, and the thought of facing the day made my chest tighten. I thought I just needed more rest, maybe a quick fix, but weeks turned into months and nothing changed. In our first discovery call on Zoom, a light bulb moment hit me. My body wasn't the problem. It was my mind. I was holding on to so much stress, frustration, and negativity that it was literally weighing me down. As we began to unpack and bring to light and addressing many of the stories I was telling myself, which also began shifting my perspective and calming my mind, that my body began to finally heal. And that's when I realized mastering your mind is not just about mental clarity. It's about reclaiming your entire sense of well-being. Now that is a success story from one of my clients, Becky. And I've been given permission to share this. And what I want to say is that for those of you that are tuning in, I want you to take and share this with somebody. Yeah. And both Charlie and I have worked at this. We've worked on it in ourself. We've worked through it in ourself. We've uncovered and we continue to uncover things. This is a life-term process. It's not a once and done. Wouldn't you agree?
No, it's an ongoing process because daily reprieve contingent on maintenance of my spiritual condition, my physical condition, and my mental condition.
Yeah. So I want you to, take the time and share this with somebody that you know, and maybe have them skip to the end and then tell them to go from the very beginning. Maybe they will hear some of Becky's story in their own life and reach out to Charlie or myself and allow us to just have that opportunity to just have a discovery call.
Yep.
Nothing's for sale. Let's just see, where are you at and where you want to go and why you would hold on to something that is keeping you from having a fueled life, an abundant life, especially as we go into this season. Especially, this is such a stressful time of year. And then, the beginning of the year where you make this New Year's resolution, and by the 7th day, you've already tossed it out the window. The majority of the population has done it by the 14th day. That's a statistic that has been proven. And people are already waiting for the next year before the first month is out. And I want to say, let's make a difference starting today by taking the challenge of investing just a half an hour of your time to see if you can have a fueled life. Charlie, anything more?
Well, you said this is a stressful time of year for people that create that stress, but not for me.
Sure.
I'm zero. I mean, not unless I want to think about something that I should have done, or it should be different, or they should have. But no stress. But I know people just have a belief. Oh, this is such a stressful time of year. And I ask, why? Well, there's so much to do. Aren't you lucky? You're blessed. You get to do. So it's always a shift and a different perspective and a different way to look at things where stress gets removed. And this has been a great podcast today. And I'm feeling blessed to be here with you today.
Awesome. Same. And until we meet again next week, I'm wishing everybody an outstanding day, an outstanding week, and we'll see you next Thursday or next Wednesday for another episode of the Fueled Life Podcast.